What's happening? Andy here. I am joined today by one of my great friends, one of my best friends in this industry, Mike Paco Stramaglio. Mike is one of the founding fathers of the Patriots Pack. He's the leader of the Patriots Pack. Mike, how are you? How's Arizona?
I'm doing fantastic. Arizona is hot, and we're shut down again, which is kind of interesting, but I'm doing fabulous.
Well, shutdowns are a bummer. It is great to see that you are actually allowed inside your house. For all of you who haven't seen the other videos, Mike has been in the garage in every one of them, sometimes joined by some of his friends, so Mo won't really let him in the house. I assume she's out shopping or something, but good to see you in the house. The door looks beautiful. So Arizona shut down again, right? So you took a step backwards. You guys got a little crazy out there.
Yeah.
What's the mood, or is everyone doing all right? Are you guys healthy? How's Mo? How's your?
Yeah, thank you. We're doing well. Thank you. The whole family's been doing well, and it is kind of crazy. I mean, it's different all over the United States. We thought we were doing well, then all of a sudden last week we weren't doing well, and then Governor Ducey yesterday said we're going to shut it down for 30 days. So it's a little bit unusual because everyone got comfortable with, okay, we're opening up, and then boom, we're not opening up and we're shutting down. So I think it's frustrating for people. They're worried, they're anxious. Of course, there's the work impact, the workforce.
Yeah.
The flip side is I'm glad to see people taking an aggressive stance and working together and supporting each other and making sure that you're not doing anything silly, to put anyone at risk. So that's the good news, and I think I'm hoping, unfortunately, that 2020 is going to be a very, very difficult year for our business, to be sure. And I'm hoping, going into 2021, we're going to see a different and better world, wiser, smarter, and stronger.
Well, we're certainly going to be selling a lot more hand sanitizers and masks until then. It is kind of funny to see everybody adapting the new products the companies have been coming out with. Our friends up in Buffalo, I don't know if you saw that announcement in my newsletter, but Copier Fax is selling scanners and POA is selling scanners. So, when people enter a building, you can take their temperature and get it registered and dump it into your database and make sure everybody is healthy. As far as you guys, maybe Arizona, July, maybe you should stay inside. So hopefully it won't be too painful for you for the next 30 days. How are you doing without the travel, man? Like, I know it's been tough for me, and we are road warriors. We're used to being out there. It's kind of surprised that none of our wives and husbands have killed us yet. Being home as much as we are. But how are you adjusting to not being able to go anywhere?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's been tough. I think that's one of the probably most difficult things for our industry. I mean, it's a very social industry. You have BTA and CBA and all of these groups that basically help each other to grow the business, and you get FaceTime. Now, admittedly, they're probably moving over to Zoom, but it has been a very warm, gracious, generous industry, and not being able to hug and see each other or even yell at each other in a bar is highly unusual, and we're learning to adapt. Everyone's learning to adapt.
Well, as one of the senior people in this industry, and you are reaching an age where you are seen as one of the elders or the wise men of the industry. You're no Frank Canada. You're many years behind him, but he is the king. But you are up there at the very top, right near him. So, have you ever seen anything like this? You ever seen an industry shut down, let alone all the industry shut down? I mean, what do you think?
Well, no, I haven't, and frankly, I could never imagine it. When you think about people that are my age or your dad's age or Frank Canada, or people who have been around a while, when you live through, John Kennedy, or you lived through the Civil Rights Movement, or you lived through Vietnam era, and all of these really horrific things that, Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, you live and it becomes part of the fabric of who you are. And you constantly, or at least I do anyway, I constantly reflect back on those things and say, wow, where we are today, comparatively speaking to some of those other events, they're pretty dramatically the same. This one being radically different in that the country and frankly the world had been for the most part shut down. And that I had never seen. You know, the recessions and all the things that we've lived through. You know, I can even remember when I was 5 and 6 years old, you know, the people that were killed, my cousins, my uncles and so on, that were killed in World War II. So all through your life, you see all these difficult things, and yet the country somehow advanced. You somehow got better. You somehow pulled through. Things improved. You never gave up hope. And you felt kind of in control, at least of many of the things that were going on around you. But this virus, you have really no control other than washing your hands, wearing masks, and making sure you don't infect yourself or others. So no, I can't imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would also say too, you know, looking at the absolute horror show that the dealers have had to deal with over the course of the last 4 or 5 months, and the OEMs, I'm always impressed with the resilience of the dealer community and frankly our industry. You know, you're talking about hand sanitizers being sold by Clover, or scanners, or medical equipment now. So I think, you know, the inevitable razor slices of erosion in our business, Corona basically just brought everything forward by 3 years and said, you will adjust. Yeah. And the dealer, and you know, kudos to the dealers. They're figuring it out. And I think the industry will be far better for it.
You know, we may see the runoff further down the road, but I expected that we would have lost some dealers, a much larger number of dealers at this point than we have. And there have been a few that have been picked up and merged into others, but very, very few at this point, which, you know, to your point, the resiliency of some of these companies, even some that, you know, with their back against the wall, you know, these guys are competitive. They never say die. And you know, I'm proud that we've just almost lost none, you know, so not very many that I know of. So it's been amazing. And, you know, it is perspective, and it's not like this has never happened. It's never happened in our time, but, you know, I'm a history major and buff, or whatever you want to call it. And you know, history major, which is why I wound up in the copier industry. Right. So, you know, 100 years ago, we had the Spanish flu, and we didn't have the technology. We didn't have the understanding on how this was transmitted and transferred. And so, you know, it took 3 years to get on with our lives. But, you know, until about 3 months ago, none of us would have ever even thought of the Spanish flu, right? Things were normal. We were normal. Everything was business as usual. And we were at a point, which we will get to again someday, hopefully quicker than we did the last 100 years ago. I don't think it'll take 3 years this time, now that we've got vaccines hopefully on the way, and some things that'll maybe, even if they're not vaccines, make the flu less deadly. If you can get some medication in there that helps with that, that's another route they're taking. But it's crazy. It's crazy. And, you know, in the midst of this craziness, we've had a lot of other crazy things going on. And I want to kind of move to the real reason that we've got you on the show today, right? The What's Happening Today in person. Why don't you tell us why we have you on, Mike?
Well, you know, you may have noticed I'm not getting any younger. So even though I might be charming and happy and ride motorcycles, but, you know, the reality of it is that we sold MWA to Konica Minolta 2 years ago this week. And that was probably, well, I would say it was the monumental achievement, I think, of my career. You know, we grew Forza, we grew a product, we brought it to the marketplace. We invested quite a bit of money in that activity. We did things like executive connection summits, and it was just a phenomenal time leading up to the sale. And Konica Minolta saw the value in what we were doing, and they invested. And in fact, Forza is one of the top strategies for Konica Minolta. But, you know, again, Rick he's a great guy, and he doesn't buy things just because he likes people. He saw the tremendous value in what we were doing and the impact on the marketplace. And frankly, I think tip of the hat to him too, because he didn't know about Corona coming. And frankly, what we were doing with Forza and SAP was far ahead of the time, and actually helps a lot of people right now. So the PS to all of that, 2 years later, FY19 for Forza was a record-breaking year for us. FY20, even in spite of COVID, has been a tremendously successful year for us. We've changed our team. We brought in a whole new bunch of people. Konica Minolta has invested, even in spite of what's going on today, adding a whole fleet of new people, highly talented people. And we have a Carl Byrne, who he's my buddy. He's the managing director. He's been with us for a year now. And he and I work very closely together from last June to this June. And at the end of the day, all of these things came together, sold the company 2 years post, built a great team. I feel like, I feel a little bit like, this is kind of a stretch, but a little bit like MJ, just dropping a 3-pointer and walking away. And I feel like I can do that. You got Jenna and Drew Cataldo and Carl, and just a whole bunch of really fabulously talented people. Konica Minolta came up with an early retirement program, and I looked at it. My buddy Rick called me up and said, "Did you even look at that?" I said, "No, I've been pretty busy." And so we kidded around about it a little bit, and I did take a look. And hey, I'll be 70 in November, and leaving while we're in a great place is the best thing I can do. And that's what I did. I accepted it, and I'm very grateful for it. And I couldn't be happier with the outcome.
So is this your last day? Did I understand that correctly when we talked earlier?
Today is officially my last day.
Last interview.
Yeah, if anybody wants to email me, yes, I'm spending it with my buddy. But if anybody wants to email me, it's stramagliomike@gmail.com. So please don't hesitate, and you have my phone number usually. But I'm here with you at the end of the day, at the end of this part of my career, and I couldn't be more grateful and honored to be here.
Well, we've mentioned this before in other conversations, but you've always been somebody I've looked up to, heard about. It's when I was a kid, my dad would be talking about Mike Stramaglio, and you were serving different masters back in those days, a big R maybe, or even a big Minolta, I think, before that, right? So I'd known you forever, a lot longer than before you knew me, and it was great to come together, and really just great to know you when we started riding together for the Jillian ride and the Patriot Pack, and then the Jillian Fund. So it's just been, we've spent a lot of time together, weeks on the road. I'm very thankful and appreciative that you allowed me to get to the last interview. I think this is just awesome. You're always a great person to talk to, and I look forward to what you do next, and keeping in touch with you throughout the next few months as we all continue to get through this COVID thing, because it's not going away, and I'm sure you're not disappearing. I can't imagine you not being at MWA and Konica. But to your point again, they did bulk that up, didn't they? After you guys sold, like, it was you had different financiers before, and they had different objectives, and you could clearly see the change when Konica Minolta acquired you, because Konica Minolta wasn't looking to sell this off and spin it and make some money. Konica Minolta was looking to make some money with this program, to sign companies up. So they clearly poured resources, and we saw all these new faces and new people working on it. More importantly, we saw you start signing more than one client every 6 months. I know it's really difficult and challenging to get that product signed and off the ground, but when you're doing 1 or 2 every 6 months, and now all of a sudden you're doing 5 or 10 every 6 months, it's quite an increase. So it shows what you can do when you've got really good money behind you with a big company that's vested in this. So
well, if you don't mind, I did probably a couple of things to that. You're 100% right. So I always used to say, we built this for the industry, by people from the industry. And when you're dealing with private equity people, yes, they're wonderful people to work with. They're very respected. But at the end of the day, it's about EBITDA and EBITDA.
It's a business. It's a business.
It's a business. In Konica Minolta's hands, it's a strategic and absolute imperative for the next 5, 10, 15 years. And that's a different mindset.
Yeah.
All of the other satellite things that you can pull together, which I will tell you with great confidence, I'm sure is going to be absolutely phenomenal for the industry and for Konica Minolta and others, to be candid. But the other thing I would mention too, I spent 19 years, this is a pretty cool little thing, 19 years of my career, my first part of the career, with Minolta. And then there was a middle part of me that, was president of Hitachi and all of that. And And then the MWA thing was 15 years. And now I'm 2 years ending my career. I'm one of the few guys that can say he started a career and ended basically full-time career at the same company. And so that part makes me really proud.
That is cool.
And I think the other thing too, you know, guys like Chip Maselli and Al Shabetta and the Berry family at MCC and all of the press people that helped us along the way. Without you guys, this never, ever could have happened. So my sincerest thanks to you, and, you know, Patricia and Frank and all the press folks that helped us along the way. And of course, the guys that had faith in us when, frankly, we were building the product. You know, we were building the airplane while we were flying it. And you know, believe me, you know, yeah, you know, Chip Maselli, he's not quiet when he's happy or unhappy.
No, he'll let you know when he's not, when something's bothering. He sure will.
So, you know, to all of those guys that helped us right from the beginning, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, you know, you have just been more fun to be around all these years than just about anyone I can think of. We've always had a good time. And again, congratulations, you know, for winding down this phase of your career. A job well done with what you did at MWA and getting that implemented and integrated into Konica. And it seems like now that things are starting to take off with that, it's a good time to ride off into that sunset. So with that, I'm going to, you know, give you a last chance to shout out. I am going to make a comment about that awesome Lionel Richie picture on the wall there, which I didn't know you're such a big fan. I know it's not Lionel Richie, but from on this screen, it totally looks like Lionel Richie. That's you. Yes, is that you?
That's me.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody did that in Italy, little picture in Rome.
Everybody's looking like Lionel Richie in America, I guess. So.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Montaigne. Either way.
Yeah, Montaigne and probably Frank Sinatra. So we'll figure it out.
Well,
but,
we should have brought some wine or for you a vodka and a couple olives. There you go. Vodka with 2 olives. Yes.
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 Olives.
And I still remember the important things, Mike. You know, cheers to you and just congratulations, and I love you, and thanks for taking the time on your last day at Forza to spend it with me. So wrap it up, buddy. Say goodbye to your fans.
You've been awesome. You let me share my story, and I'm really grateful for it. I'm honored. And somebody told me today that, hey, you know, Frank is the godfather. You're the chairman of the board, and I'll take that. So
yeah,
thank you.
That's not bad. You you definitely I'll give him that. I'll give him that. So you are the best, buddy. Congratulations, love you, and we will talk very, very soon. Take care.
Love you too. Thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Appreciate it.